Yellowed with age, this letter is hard to read, but the signature is unmistakable. This is the writing of one of America's most revered presidents, Abraham Lincoln. For a time, this letter was under the care of Selby Kiefer with the Books and Manuscripts Division of Sotheby's Auction House.
It's hard, I think, for us from the perspective of 2008 to remember is just how much people wrote by hand in the 19th century.
Long before email or TV, handwriting was the way a president communicated with his people, and how the people talked back.
Lincoln, like modern presidents, although not to the same extent, received hundreds of pieces of mail every day, most of which he never saw. His two secretaries, John Hay and John Nicolay, would go through the piles, and maybe they gave different estimates, maybe 3 to 5 to 7 pieces of mail Lincoln would look at personally.
One letter that reached Lincoln in April 1864 was a petition from a group of schoolchildren in Massachusetts. They asked Lincoln to free all the slave children. At a recent Sotheby's auction, Lincoln's heartfelt letter of thanks to those schoolchildren set a record for a presidential manuscript. It sold for $3.4 million. The price was a shock to collector Dan Weinberg, who sold the letter for much less a few years ago. Weinberg runs the Abraham Lincoln Bookshop in Chicago. It is one of the few stores in the world dedicated to collecting and selling authentic Lincoln memorabilia, known as Lincolniana.
I would say we are unique. I feel we're probably, as far as Lincoln artifacts and relics are concerned, we're probably at the apex. There's no one else that specializes in the country as deeply as we do in Lincoln.
Historians and collectors come to Weinberg to find rare or important Lincoln artifacts, such as this copy of the Lincoln-Douglas debates, inscribed and signed by Lincoln himself.
It was a time actually of autograph collecting, and people came to Washington throughout the Victorian time with autograph books, getting the president, the vice president, cabinet members.
One such autograph seeker was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, November 19, 1863. Lincoln's 2-minute talk that day would become one of the greatest speeches in American history. It is the only Lincoln signature known to exist from that event. The autograph pages, which include members of his cabinet, sold for just under $1 million at auction. Weinberg attributes Lincoln's simple Gettysburg message to his popularity and the value of related historical memorabilia.
The verbiage that he had of freedom and democracy, and how he envisioned democracy as coming out of the Declaration of Independence and the fathers of our country, permeates the world.
Enthusiasts say interest in Lincoln continues to grow in the U.S. and elsewhere. Variety magazine reports that film director Steven Spielberg plans a biographical film about the late president, set at the time of the American Civil War. Illinois and other neighboring states are celebrating this year's 150th anniversary of the Lincoln-Douglas debates and Lincoln's 200th birthday next year. And so demands for Lincolniana, as well as the prices, are at all-time highs and growing. Kane, Farabaugh, VOA News, Chicago, Illinois.